Well, welcome to the first interview of 3D Experience World.
It's a good one.
Yes,
it's a really good one.
One I'm very excited. We're going to be chatting with Caey.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, he's just completed what's called the America's Great Loop, and we'll get into that in a minute. First off, I want to ask, for our audience, who you are, what is it that you do, how you involved with SolidWorks and the user groups and all that stuff.
Okay, yeah. Caey Gorman. I started out using SolidWorks back in '97, and I was a single user at that time, so came to one of my first SolidWorks Worlds and looked to set up a user group and found somebody else in the same Melbourne, Florida area, and so we started a group and ran that for over 10 years and became a Southeastern rep and been pretty much active even after that. Even though I'm retired, I still like to come and see everybody here and see what's happening with the new product and such.
It's always interesting to see where folk retire not using the software professionally, but you're still coming to these. You're still seeing old friends, but networking with new people and meeting new people.
Right.
Like you've still got a wealth of knowledge that people can still feed off and work on.
And it's and at the same time, I've kind of passed my system on down to my nephew, who's the supervisor of a machine shop.
Yeah.
So now I still have access to some of the stuff that I need, or I just sketch it up and hand it to him and say, "Here, make this for me." So but being here, meeting new people is always interesting because there's so many different facets of manufacturing and product being developed that it's. You always find something new, and you meet new people that become friends.
Yes, we enjoy coming back every year to socialize and network, and
networking's a big part of it for us,
and see more and more people, and watching things grow and develop as well.
Right.
So when was your first? Back then it was SolidWorks World.
It was SolidWorks World, and I believe it was 1999.
Oh, way back. Yeah.
So I've been coming for a while. There's only a couple that I've missed. They got foolish one year and held it in Boston.
Right.
And being a boy from Florida, living there, I saw no reason to go to Boston in February.
Sounds cold.
A bit too north.
Yeah.
So I guess over 25-ish years of coming, then you've seen this event evolve and grow.
Yes, I have.
Yeah.
That first event was about 675 people, including the vendors. All the vendors that were there. So it was probably a 50-50 mix. The largest one I've been to, they had about 6,000 attendees. So it goes up and down a little bit from year to year.
Yeah, depending on what's happening. Situations like COVID changed a lot. Other companies are coming in, other people developing products with the tools are coming in and out. It's always, it goes in ebbs and flows and that.
Nice to chat about the growth that you've seen over the years of the event, but also the community and the industries.
Yeah, the community has really grown over the years. At one time there was probably maybe 30 leaders or so, and that's grown quite a bit worldwide.
First time coming here and seeing just how chaotic and crazy the User Group Summit was. And I want to be involved with that. Yeah. And I want to bring that energy back to the UK, and it's a bit difficult, but it is growing.
It's slowly
trying to
there.
get it together. And
there's more popping up in Europe now. Every year we seem to see another person or another couple of people in Europe.
Well, that's good. It's because I know the product's been a long-term product, and it's got such a history of being innovative and things that if you're going to stay on top of things, you got to pick a good, solid product to build your business on.
I want to chat to you about the Great American Loop.
A little boat trip.
Your little boat trip, and
just a small one.
I'm going to put a little picture of over this your stats where you traveled for 203 boat movements, which I assume is like start and stop.
Yep.
664 hours.
Yep.
5,160 miles.
Yeah. That
so the interesting
hours actually turns out to be. An oil change every 100 hours, so there's maintenance involved in there that doesn't show up at things.
Average of 7.8 miles an hour. That's pretty slow.
Yeah.
But it is the nature of the journey. Tell us all about it. How did you come up with this idea? Is this something like a journey a lot of people take?
It is a journey that, you say a lot. It's less than what people climb Mount Everest. There's at any given time there's anywhere from 275 to maybe 350 boats that are doing the trip or somewhere involved in the trip. And you circumnavigate the eastern half of the United States. You go up the East Coast, in through New York City. You go by the Statue of Liberty. I took the Erie Canal, which has a lot of great history, and took it all the way on over to an area where I was born in, up over by Niagara Falls. So I stopped there and visited in the east and spent several days there. But then you go through the Great Lakes, down, I went through the city of Chicago, on down through the river system, into the Gulf of Mexico, back across the state of Florida, and then back home. I just got home last Tuesday.
Yeah, you cut it real fine.
Yeah. Not much room for any final maintenance issues.
I mean, if you hooked a right when you got into the Gulf of Mexico, you probably could have ended up here.
Yeah, you could have added a little spike across to Houston.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
So, where did the inspiration to do this trip come from?
I've been in boating for years. I've bought my first boat when I was 19, and instead of buying a house when I was in my 20s, I wanted to buy a boat and live on it. My mother did everything she could to talk me out of it.
Did you buy it then?
No, I didn't. But years later, I bought another boat after I was financially established. Been in a job for several years and had my mother out on my sailboat. And she looked at me and she goes, "You remember when I talked you out of buying a boat to live on it?" And I said, "Yeah." She goes, "I was afraid I'd come to the dock one day, the boat would be gone, all the lines would be gone, and I'd have no clue where you were at." So the wanderlust has been there for a while. And then I forget how I ran across America's Great Loop, and then I joined the organization. And it's an organization much like the community here, in that everybody is extremely helpful. Doesn't matter whether your boat's $5,000 or $2.5 million. Everybody treats everybody the same, and so they're helpful and everything. And you go to, they have two, if you want to call them conventions type of things, they have two of those.
Yeah.
They have one on the East Coast, so that when you're first starting out the trip in the spring, they tell you about all the stuff to make it around. And then they have one in like Tennessee and that kind of stuff for making the trip south and coming back on up. But yeah, I heard about it, and it's like, I'm retiring soon. At least I'm pushing to retire soon. And so then I went out and searched for a boat to do that. Sold a couple other boats that I had to buy the one that I made the trip in.
And you ended up with Tika.
Ended up with Tika, yep.
And how long was the overall journey? I think you were just shy of a year.
Yeah, it was 11 months and 6 days. Now, some of that was due to breakdowns.
Yeah, I was going to say, was it you
Oil
had
leaks.
It had not oil leaks, but coolant leaks.
Coolant leaks. That was it. I knew there was some leaks.
That was the last one that.
That was close to Christmas.
Yeah, so I was close enough to home that one of my nephews came over and got me and said, "You're coming home for Thanksgiving, and we'll see how long this takes." So I got to spend the holidays with family and such. Mixing
this event with that trip, obviously this event allowed you to meet so many people from around the States. I'm sure were you able to meet up with people as you went that you hadn't seen in years, maybe, or something like that?
People I hadn't seen in years. One young lady, I hadn't seen her since her grandfather had died, and she was probably about 12 years old. And when I got to catch up with her, she was married, had a daughter, and everything else. And so it really special to spend a little time with her. A niece, when I was up in the Niagara Falls, Buffalo area, hadn't seen her since her grandfather had died, which had been about 10 or 12 years. So I got to spend a little bit of time visiting with her and her husband. But I also got to meet SolidWorks people along the line.
Yeah.
So it just kind of shows that the community is more than just outside of the convention.
Exactly. And that's what we try and nurture with our podcast, is so that we can have conversations and meetings and hang out outside of the convention.
Community spirit carried on between events.
Yeah.
So exactly.
I was due to catch up with Nicole Walden. Unfortunately, when I was going to make the turn to go up the Tennessee River to Chattanooga, there was a catastrophic lock failure. And so they had to figure out a way to get all the commercial boats through.
Right.
So all of us recreational boats were we're on the
off,
bottom
yeah.
of the list. So
Yeah.
it's like, okay, I'm not going to fight. There's a crowd that was going there for what they call the fall rendezvous, and it's like I'm not going to fight that crowd because they're only letting so many boats go through every morning, once a day. So unfortunately, I wasn't able to meet up
Yeah.
with her along the way, but.
I had no clue that you could just go straight down the middle of the states.
No, I didn't.
Using
Well-
the river systems and that.
Yeah, I mean, you can if you had a big enough fuel tank, you can go all the way down the Mississippi. I only carried about 95 gallons of fuel, so I had to do an alternate route. Most everybody
A
does.
bit more creative.
Yeah. So it's like you come down through Mississippi, the Tennessee River, and several other rivers until you get down to Mobile Bay. So.
What would you say, and it might be difficult to nail it down, what was your absolute big highlight of the trip?
It is a little challenging, but one of the things that I find really cool was being able to take my boat through downtown Chicago on the Chicago River, and then have
It's a very iconic kind of
oh yeah
riverway.
You're
Scenery,
going down,
yeah.
and the skyscrapers are all around you and
Yeah.
everything else. It was
No, I can
it was
imagine that.
impressive to be able to do that.
You had a bit of weather, I think, in the last little bit
Oh,
when
quite a few
you had your
times.
big freeze.
Oh yeah. Luckily for me, I was at home, but I didn't get any snow where I was at. I was on the west coast of Florida, but friends of mine came back to their boat after the holidays and ended up with 9 inches of snow on their boat. And it was like, yeah, that's not what you want.
No, not really.
No.
No.
That's a lot of weight.
Yeah.
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 And I'd be safe to say that you met a lot of new people.
I did, and everything from mechanics to lawyers to surgeons. I mean, just every different profession you could think of, I ran across on the loop. There was one couple that was traveling the loop on a professional shrimping boat, and they
Okay.
took it offline long enough to do the loop, but they were getting back in time to do their shrimping in Louisiana, and they were really kind of fun and interesting to talk to. I tied to them alongside them in a couple of the locks, and I know the area that they were from and things, so talking with them was really interesting. And then they also showed me where they got caught in Hurricane Katrina, and it totally wiped out their house and the whole area that they lived in, and
Right.
so there's a lot of interesting stories with the people that you get to meet along the
Yeah.
trip.
I bet there's a lot of interesting evenings, at the side of the river marina, wherever you happen to be,
Right.
chatting to different people that you've met.
Yeah.
Does everyone go around the same direction? Or is
I was
that a
thinking the
personal
same thing.
preference?
Most do, but not all.
Okay.
Most everybody goes counterclockwise because of the river flows. Because the Mississippi, my boat was traveling at like 7.5 knots or about 8 miles an hour. On the Mississippi, because the current was so high, I was traveling about 12 miles an hour.
Yeah.
So now, if you got a slow boat and you're trying to go up that,
Yeah, you're basically still.
Yeah. it's-
Yeah, okay. So yeah, there's some logic and sense in it then, I guess. Yeah.
and there's people that have done it. Well, there's one boat that I know has done it more than 30 times.
Wow.
Yeah, whoa.
Yeah, a lot of people are one and done, and I think I'm going to be one of the people that's one and done.
One and done.
But, unless I find a different boat and maybe a lady to travel with, 'cause traveling solo is at times kind of, you just sit there, motor along, nobody to talk to or whatever.
Yeah, it's a big commitment as well.
Yeah.
It's not like traveling by plane or train or bus where you can kind of get off and just fly home.
Right.
You got to get your boat back somehow.
And I've got friends that are running into that issue right now. They're Canadian, and her husband had some medical issues and flew back to Canada, and they want to get their boat back to Canada. So if he can't come down and take it, then they have to find someone to help bring the boat back. And I've kind of offered to do that for them, along with his wife, because she said there's no way she could handle. They got a 40-some foot boat. She says there's no way she could handle the locks by
yeah.
herself.
Did you run into anybody that was doing the same trip as you were doing it?
Yeah, matter of fact, there's a lady out of Oregon that has the same boat that I have. It's only a couple years newer. And somebody had told her that, hey, you ought to get a hold of Casey because he's doing this in the same boat. So she reached out to me, and we've met several times around the loop and everything else, and you know, spent time together as far as, you know, looking at each other's boats or helping fix it or whatever. And then, but now she's spent like 3 months down in the Keys.
Okay.
Yeah.
But she's flown home several times because she's still working. She's a property manager out in Oregon, so she had to go home and take care of, you know, like plumbing and that kind of stuff for one of the commercial buildings, and then had a washer and dryer go out that she had to take care of.
Yeah.
So.
Obviously, your boats, you dock it up everywhere you go.
Well, I anchor out sometimes, like
Yeah.
in the rivers, there wasn't much choice, but yeah.
Yeah.
But you'd have to have your kind of pit stops to go into town and
Yep.
stock up on supplies and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
What kind of stuff would you need to prepare or to have on a trip like this?
I generally would carry about a week and a half's worth of food, so that I know if I had to stretch it out, it wasn't any problem. Because I didn't have a huge refrigerator,
Yep.
and I had, you know, limited storage for even dry goods. You know, some places, like along the East Coast, it was fairly easy to get to a grocery store.
Yeah.
Other places, I learned, you know, how well Instacart works. You know, get that stuff. Amazon, you know, I needed parts for repair. Have them shipped in, you know, from Amazon.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's,
It's obviously got no car. You can't pop off and go do something. And
Yeah, some marinas do have loaner cars,
all right.
Oh, that's
and
nice.
you know, so they'd turn around and say, okay, this is how far you can go with that loaner car, and it would
Yeah.
be able to, you know, go out for dinner, go out and get groceries and that kind of thing.
I know with the aviation, hobbyist aviation people, the small airports, they'll have a car that you can.
Yeah, it's like a
Yeah.
pool car almost, isn't it? You borrow it and fly out, go wherever you need to go, grab your stuff, and then. So that's I would have never thought of that for a marina, but I guess it kind of makes sense. Yeah.
Some of the bigger marinas, there was one marina I stayed at that actually had 3 cars.
Oh wow.
You know, so that people could, you know, they didn't.
Yeah. So
get
you weren't
stuck.
waiting on it coming back all the time
Yeah.
or whatever. Yeah.
Because sometimes people bring them back late.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and try to sneak in and everything else. And then, you know, you're the guy sitting there waiting and they're going, you know, ducking out on you and everything else. It's like, oh, yeah, there's the keys. You know, well, you just cut into my 2 hours by using up half of an
Yeah.
hour.
Yeah.
With the problems that you had, especially the last one that took the longest to kind
Right.
of, what was the problem with that? With that breakdown?
There's a heat exchanger on my diesel. My diesel uses a coolant system just like a, you know, a gasoline vehicle or whatever. And so there's a heat exchanger that takes the raw water from the outside to cool the coolant. Well, in that raw water system, I actually had raw water start going into my coolant. So I got up one morning. Every morning I'd do engine checks. I'd check the oil, check the coolant, check the transmission fluid. You know, make sure everything was set to run. And I'd noticed that coolant level was higher than the maximum, and I've never had it at the maximum.
Yeah.
And it's like,
yeah.
I was thinking, well, maybe that's just a coincidence. And I started to head it out, and I went, no, that's a problem. So I had to turn back around and go into a marina, and then figure out where it was. And my assumption was it was in the heat exchanger, but now that I think about it, there's a possibility it was in the transmission cooler. I ended up replacing both of them, and new hoses for it and everything else. They were 25 years old, 24 years old. So
They've done well.
yeah. It's a Swedish diesel. It's a Volvo.
Yeah.
You know,
Built
they
well.
last. Yeah.
Yeah.
But parts cost you.
Yeah. But if you only replace it every 24 years, you don't mind that as much.
Right.
Yeah.
Spread it out. It's basically free.
Yeah. 20. If you got another 24 years on that, you'd be all right.
Yeah.
And what's your next big adventure?
I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out. When I get back, I'm going to finish getting the things off of the boat, and then get it all cleaned and polished up and put on the market, and then kind of see. I haven't decided whether I'll get into an RV. If I do, maybe I'll do Route 66 backwards. I'll go from California up towards Chicago.
We were talking about this the other night because I wouldn't mind doing a bit of Route 66 in case.
Yeah, a group of British lads did it within an RV. RV's it's a land yacht.
Yeah.
Land yacht. Yeah, you know, want a nice big steering wheel. Yeah.
Well, I was looking at tow behin.
All right. Interesting.
But yeah, I mean, there was even a skater that did it. Him and another guys that would skate. So they'd go all these different places and do their skateboard. So it's And I've been on parts of it, been parts of it in California, part of it in Missouri. It'd be kind of nice to, connect the whole thing there and do that routine.
That starts in Chicago.
Yeah, it ends down at the Santa Monica Pier.
Yeah, we've got a picture of the sign on Santa Monica Pier.
When I was, active early on in the user groups, they actually sent me to Santa Monica to do a presentation to test out my presentation before I did it at World. So it was like that's where I got on the one end, and then my brother lived in California for a little while, so I got to run that little bit of strip of Route 66. But otherwise, my other thoughts are either like a canal boat or a long boat like they've got over.
Oh, nice, yeah. I've always wanted to do like a long week in a canal boat.
Yeah.
I think it'd be good fun. Yeah.
They've got them here in the States on the Erie Canal. And then the other news I was looking at is another thing called Le Boat, which they've got those in Europe and Belgium and that kind of stuff. They also have them in Canada.
Okay.
So do a week or something along the lines of that.
That'd be nice. Yeah.
Especially if I do it during the summer when it's warm up there and hurricane season in Florida.
Yeah.
Be the best time.
Yeah.
I think I think here's a good place to start wrapping this up.
Okay.
I want to keep it nice and short enough that people want more.
Right.
They want to come back. We want to chat to you much more about this. I guess one last thing I want to ask is, what would you say to someone that wants to do some sort of like big adventure or something like this?
First thing I'd say is go ahead, do it, but plan it out when as you do it. And your plan's going to change. Be prepared to know that your plan is going to change. Figure out what you want to do in an overall, and then eventually it's a day-to-day planning. But do it. I mean, nobody's getting any younger,
I think that's really good advice. I think the world now it's not gone to plan, but plans never really go to plan, and it's being able to adapt to that.
Yeah.
And conquer them problems like you have done on your great adventure. So.
Yeah. And everybody in the whole user community here, sitting at home watching your adventure because you were sharing it and posting it. Are you going to post any more about it, or?
I am actually. I meant to give you guys one of my cards that's got the YouTube channel on it.
Yeah.
I want to finish up some of the videos for the YouTube channel and finish up the whole series for that, and then I'll keep posting as the what I'm looking for the next adventure.
Yeah, no, that'd be good.
Yeah, seeing it day by day.
Yeah.
Was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's I kind of spread it out over the whole time, and but everybody really seemed to enjoy my map.
Oh, I loved it. I loved it. Following you around over the year and going, Casey's made it to there, he's got down to there.
It was more interesting.
You had your issues to see where you were and how you were dealing with finding parts and finding mechanics and things. It was great.
And I was surprised to find out how many people that were following me that I didn't even know were following me.
Yeah.
So it's and then everybody that talked about how much they enjoyed it.
Yeah. And I think it was fascinating from my perspective is I had no clue where you were going.
Right.
And each time you posted a map, you're like, this is insane.
No, I had no idea.
And you just kept going and going.
I think when you got to the top and you were starting your turn down, I was like, whoa, he's only really halfway.
Yeah.
He's still got a hell of a long way to go home. So it was really good to follow, I thought.
There was a high school classmate of mine that actually worked for a boat manufacturer at senior years in high school for a little bit after that. He didn't realize what I was doing either, and he called me in Maryland and he said, what the hell are you doing? I said, I'm doing a 5,000 to 6,000 mile trip on a boat. He said, what? It's like, how long are you going to be gone? I said, I'll see you next year, man.
It's insane, and it's very, very inspiring that you went on this adventure, shared it with us, and we want to share it more and discuss it.
Yeah.
And thank you very much for sitting down with us. And
well,
thanks for having me. I appreciate you guys enjoying what I had done and everything.
And I'll link everything for everybody to check out your YouTube.
Okay.
I'll overlay some nice pictures and all that stuff.
Right. Yeah, you can grab whatever off of the Facebook thing, or if you look for something else, just let me know.
Yeah.
But
Casey, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
I really appreciate it, and I hope you watching have enjoyed it as well.
Thanks, Casey.
And then it's got the boat information on the back.
That is really cool. I also love that your sun cover is Cars themed.
Yeah.
It's the eyes on the front.
Oh wow, that's cool.
So it's brilliant.
But those everybody that does the loop have what they call boat cards, so that you can have the information on the boat, who you met, quite often places to write down where you met them and things.
That's incredible.
That's great.
Excellent. Thank you very much for watching.
Thank you.
And we'll see you guys in the next interview. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Casey.
Appreciate it, guys.
Oh, thank you.
Enjoy it. Thanks.
Yeah. Hell of an adventure.